Hi, I'm Elsa.
And I'm Barron.
This is our dog Camp, and this is our home.
We've been living on the road nomadically for the last 6 years.
We wanted to escape rent payments.
And this was the most economical way to get into owning our own home.
This is our master bedroom. The bed is about a little bit in between a twin size bed and a full, so it's very small. We bought a Walmart memory foam bed and we cut the corners to fit it perfectly and made a little like case thing for it. And this has been incredible. Before we were sleeping on the original 30-year-old cushions with a really thin layer of foam on top of it. Terrible, terrible sleep. I would recommend starting with a bed. If you're gonna make any adjustments to your camper, start with a good bed. Underneath here, we have extra food that we can pull out quickly. We've got like bike batteries for our electric bikes. In here, we have off-season clothes. We like to keep our clothes that we're not using in the winter and in the summer in dry bags so that they don't get any mildew on them. I did these curtains years ago and they've held up really well. Without these, in the wintertime, all of that cold air just escapes and you can just feel the cold coming in onto us. So we keep these up in the winter for insulation, and then in the summer, they act as blackout curtains because the sun gets very hot in Colorado in the mountains. And up here we keep all of our cords stored away nicely so that the cords aren't just like dripping off of our batteries all the time. This is a 3D map of the Colorado Rockies that we have toured so much of. It's just kind of fun to lay in bed and look up here and see where we are, see where we've been, look at the trails in Colorado. This is our kitchen. We don't do any of our main cooking in here. It's just kind of too small of a space to have all of those smells get built up in our carpeted walls. We do in the winter some minimal soup cooking and stuff on the wood stove, but mainly this is just a multi-purpose countertop. We keep produce on the counter so that we always see it and we always eat it. Solar storage here. We keep clothes in these little bins. There's camera gear. I get the big drawer for my clothes. Junk drawer. Our best tips for storage would be to get rid of stuff. Next best tip is to modularize, to keep things that are similar with other similar stuff. So all of our spices and stuff are in one container, all of our teas and drinks, all of our cleaning supplies, everything has a home within a home within a home. And that helps us be able to find anything super easily and quick. This is our humble little pantry. Snacks up here, we've got beverage stuff, protein powder, greens powder, sauces, and then carby, soupy things down here. We have a Berkey water filter, and this is incredible because if we fill up water from a creek, we can filter it in here. You have to clean the filters a little bit more if you're doing that often, but this is how we know that we're always drinking clean water. Barron spends most of his time over here because I will sit over there in the winter and I kind of spread all of my stuff out a lot more than he does. He and Camp love to sit over here. I'd say the coldest temperatures that we've experienced in here are probably in the -15s to maybe even -20. But the wood stove keeps us totally, totally warm through the winter. The only problem is we have to wake up and stoke it like 3 to 4 times a night, depending on how cold it is. And we can't load it super, super full or else it'll get way too hot and we'll burn out. So it's kind of like a little newborn baby that we have to tend to very delicately, but it's worth it. My friend Nikki painted all of these one year when we were in Arizona. It's the only art that we can hang because this is like they call it rat fur, but it's a carpet. It's like a marine grade carpet that doesn't really mold. So we stick Velcro stuff to it. Since getting this land, we built a micro shipping container into a studio/office. And now I can finally have a table, a real table and a chair to do anything I want. And I've really expanded into more avenues of painting, metalsmithing. Things have just, it's not like we couldn't create in the Scamp, but just having a little bit more space has allowed us to really expand and hone in on a lot of skills.
We hit the road about 6 years ago because we were very tired of trying to outpace the rat race. And we were both already working for ourselves. So it was a pretty obvious transition. And this is something that we had been building toward for a long time. Even before we hit the road, we were trying to find financial independence, both of us sort of individually.
Our trailer cost us only $3,700. And that was the cheapest house that we could have ever afforded at that time.
And we had a Mini Cooper S that we towed the Scamp with for about the first 2 years, all through the Rockies and off-road plenty, and made it happen. So we just really made it happen with what we had, because had we waited till we had all the right things, we would have never been able to hit the road.
We saved money every year. Every check that we could, we saved. Because there's not a lot to spend money on when you're living like this outside of groceries and gas. So we put it all into savings, knowing that one day we wanted to settle on a piece of land. The land just kind of fell into our laps.
Well, we had been looking at land and the idea of owning land in all the different places we've traveled all over the West.
But we didn't start looking at properties.
Like, we didn't start browsing Zillow and...
No, because then I think we would have started to settle. We would have found something and been like, okay, yeah, I think we're ready. We just weren't ready. We loved the nomad lifestyle. We loved moving around. We truly weren't ready.
And we still do. Like, I think we'll go back to that at least seasonally soon in our lives. Like, even just for hunting season and stuff.
It just felt like it was time. With everything going on, it felt like it was time to have a home base, a place of security, and that's exactly what it's become for us. When we were looking for land, we had a very extensive list of criteria that we knew we wanted to hit. Things like trees, water, far away from town, but close enough that we could go get groceries when we needed to.
We were comfortable with an off-grid property, so that opened up a lot of properties that otherwise other people couldn't really make use of.
We had to make sure that the county was accepting of the ways that we wanted to live. So we went on to a bunch of different county websites to see what the zoning laws were and what the building permits were like.
And building codes.
Before we ended up settling. Now that we've got our property, we just broke ground yesterday on our home. We also built a little A-frame as a guest house.
And we are going to be building our whole house by ourselves, aside from the foundation. Welcome to our studio office that we lovingly call the cave. First up is one of the most important things in here, our solar kit. We have the Yeti 3000X, which is an awesome battery. This is what powers all of our things. We have about 500 watts of solar input, so panels outside, and then they charge this guy up. And on top of the 3000, we actually have 4 tanks as well. From Goal Zero, the tank batteries are, I believe, 1,250 watt hours each. So combined, we have around 8,000 watt hours of power. This is the newest addition, the Starlink. It's amazing. We've needed it so bad because the internet is just terrible up here. So we've been having to go to town to upload videos and podcasts for a long time, and this makes it so that we can just do everything here. Like I said, we record our podcast in here, so we have our mics on some arms, and these Shure MV7 mics are really sweet. I just wish that they had a USB-C port on the back rather than micro, so if you're getting one, look out for that because they break easily. We have our Berkey, same as in the Scamp, and we got that just so that we can, when we were getting like creek water and stuff, it's always nice to have a filter, just passively filtering water all the time. This is actually going out to our treezer, our freezer in the tree, that has a bunch of venison, and we actually have a couple deer hides in there that we're going to process later this year. We're super excited about that. In the last 5 years traveling in the Scamp, we have had to spend the majority of our time in the Scamp, or one of us would be outside, but then if the weather wasn't conducive to that, then Elsa and I would both be pinned up in the Scamp. Whereas now, one of us can be in here, or we can both be in here, and we're massively more productive by having this space out here. Because now we don't have to go to a coffee shop. We can just walk to this, which is better than a coffee shop. Elsa spends a ton of time in here, especially in the mornings, because I'm more of a night owl and she's a morning person. So she'll come in here and journal and sort of set her intentions for the day and drink cacao. And then I get to use the office more in the evenings. Elsa is quite industrious when it comes to crafting. She made this blanket, and now she's getting into jewelry making. So she actually made my ring. And all of her jewelry making stuff is what you see here. I jokingly said that this would definitely not become a crafting office when we were building it, but inevitably, here we are, and that's pretty much all it is. She has her mic over here as well, and then, yeah, like I said, all of her crafting stuff. We've been using this Ryobi fan because it does get warm in here, but we recently just put up this shade cloth to prevent the summer sun from baking us in here, and it's actually been super nice. This was $1,500 to begin with, and we modded it out to become our office eventually. And we actually worked with some of our neighbors that are really good at this kind of like fabrication and building stuff to help us with this. The very coolest thing and what we designed this whole office around was this view. And on a clear day, we can see straight across the valley to a bunch of 14,000 foot peaks. And then in the closer range, we have mule deer and bighorn sheep that roam around, and it is absolutely wonderful.
Before living in the Scamp, I did a bunch of video contracting work, body paint, mural art. We kind of transitioned those things into Scamp Life, not with the intention of like turning our Scamp Life into a YouTube channel, but that is what ended up happening.
And prior to living in the Scamp, I was a web developer and worked a lot in the startup space on all different kinds of like business development and branding and all that kind of stuff.
So we were able to utilize your computer skills all for this YouTube channel, for websites, for selling now currently our wood stickers, book coming up, any kind of art that I've got going on, we sell online. I have been working on a book for the last like 4 or 5 years called Normal to Nomad. And the idea of it is to be the handbook that I wish that I had when we were coming into this, because it was hard to find. It was easy to find like high level information, but hard to find the more esoteric stuff. So I tried to distillate all of the esoteric stuff into a book. What types of pots and pans are best for this traveling lifestyle? What types of like little food tips are better than others? Certain things keep better than others.
How to deal with different climates.
How to deal with water.
Finding campsites, all that kind of stuff. And now we're kind of transitioning out of nomad life a little bit and more into homesteading. And we will soon be building our house. We'll have chickens. We just built a little A-frame that's super cute and economical. We have lots of fun things coming up.
We would love to start moving toward in real life meetups, retreats, kind of camping sessions with people in real life, moving out of the internet space and really allowing people to learn and kind of guiding them through what we've learned on the road in person. Once we have the spaces built, there's going to be a lot going on for in real life learning. It's going to be awesome. Thank you guys so much for checking out our little tiny home. If you want to see more of it, check out our YouTube channel. It's Elsa, and Barron.
And if you want to geek even deeper into what we're doing, check out our podcast. It's Normal to Nomad. And look out for my book by the same name coming out soon.
Also, elsaray.com for jewelry and wood stickers. See you guys later.
Bye.